Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about that brief technical delay, but my name is Rose, and I'm here with my colleagues Sheldon, Ishani, and Chris. So let's take a moment and talk about why are we here. Well, we were given the task to help Emirates expand globally and then mitigate those challenges, but we also took it upon ourselves to ask, can we help Emirates capitalize on its incredible brand and change the game of business travel? The answer is yes. Here's our solution. So we recommend that Emirates expand to 3 new cities, Marrakesh, Lima, and Peru. We also recommend that Emirates capitalize on incredible innovative technology, streamlined with its wonderful customer service in order to revolutionize the entire customer experience and launch Emirates into tomorrow. But let's talk about today. We're going to start off with our current situation, analyzing Emirates and where the company is at. Then we'll go through and talk about our global expansion plan, utilizing technology such as virtual reality. We believe that this will add an added revenue of $12 billion over the next 10 years. And finally, of course, we will leave time for questions at the end. So, Emirates, where are we now? How are we doing? Your company, we analyzed, one of the greatest strengths is simply its agility and its quickness to respond to market trends. We also recognize that it does cost a lot of money to maintain such a high benchmark, but we firmly believe that there are opportunities for tremendous expansion, and we believe that you as Emirates should follow the trend of business consumers. There was a record $1.2 trillion as of 2015 in the business travel market, and that's where we think Emirates should go. And finally, being such a competitive company, there will be other competitors that will try to imitate Emirates, but we believe that with our solution, you will be able to soar above the pack. So next, I'd like to pass it off to my colleague Sheldon to further talk about the global expansion plan.
Thank you so much, Rose. So traveling to over 150 different locations, it's obvious that Emirates is a global brand. So when we were looking at regions to see where Emirates could expand, we took into account the primarily market potential, but also followed foreign direct investment to determine whether future success and future growth was viable. This let us look at Latin America first. So it's an emerging market for Emirates, but it's also high in FDI. We then looked at Africa. Emirates has a presence here, but it also can be grown, and in terms of a continent, it has low repatriation taxes. Third, we looked at China. An unprecedented amount of growth is here, and it's a huge market, as well as more government cooperation with foreign businesses. So these were the 3 regions we looked at. From there, we looked at cities within these 3 regions and put them into a weighted cage decision matrix. So after assessing what values fell into each of these categories, we then totaled what the totals were for each contender and came up with the top 3, which were Lima, Peru, Chengdu, China, and Marrakesh, Morocco. But we understand that us recommending 3 paths to Emirates and Emirates actually implementing these 3 paths are 2 completely different things. And we understand that Emirates will likely run into some challenges. So we came up with a 3-step process in order for Emirates to both anticipate and bypass these challenges. The first step, building professional relationships with global companies. Second, code sharing. And third, point-to-point flights. So we recommend that Emirates partner with global companies with globally traveled employees. So for example, Bain. These companies have employees that go to the cities that we have previously suggested, and it will allow for guaranteed demand going into these markets. Second, this also provides inside market access. So these companies have offices in Lima. So for example, HSBC has an office in Lima, and it provides us with kind of Emirates not so much as a foreign entity coming into still business, but more of a local partner working with businesses that are already successful in order to gain that trust from the countries and the cities themselves. Finally, we believe that this will allow Emirates to contribute to the local economies of each of these cities. In terms of code sharing, we looked at 2 of the top performing airlines in Marrakesh and Marrakesh and Lima respectively. So these companies allow Emirates to not only tackle the issue on a global scale, but also a more local scale. Also, it allows Emirates to impart business wisdom and business experience in the form of helping these upstart companies kind of get off the ground more and more. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. With China, a market as big as it is, we felt that Emirates should rely more on its brand, seeing as Chinese markets really look into and really have really take into account the brand of a company and its effects. Oh, one last thing. Point-to-point flights, in terms of marketing these new locations. By marketing it in this way, these flights become more favorable and more streamlined and seamless for existing consumers and new consumers as well. So to talk more about the benefits of expansion and the benefits of seamless experiences, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Shawnee.
Thank you, Sheldon. So let's talk about what exactly this looks like. What we're looking at here is in the first year of implementation, we're proposing over 6,000 new flights added to these 3 locations, servicing a customer segment of over 1 million new customers, business travelers mainly, and generating revenue of over $2 billion, again, in the first year of implementation. But this is just the beginning. By revolutionizing the business traveler experience and thus creating a seamless customer arrival to destination experience, what we can actually do is realize a market potential of over $15 billion US. Here's how. Travel is stressful. Business travel kind of sucks. You go to the airport and you wait. You wait in line, you go to security, and you wait in line again at the gate. Boarding is chaotic. It's terrible. Once you get on the plane, you taxi for another hour, and then by the time you're actually in the air, you're already an hour late. Once you get in the air, your time lost to productivity, 9 hours of transatlantic, is absolutely huge because you're not able to get anything done with slow Wi-Fi connection. And then by the time you arrive at your foreign destination, you've missed your taxi that the company organized for you, and you're frustrated and missed the entire business, or you're late to the business meeting that was there to set up a new client. This is not a unique story. This is actually a huge problem, and we estimate over a $4.2 billion deadweight loss to society each and every year. This is how we can change it and fix it. By creating a simple departure system, streamlining it, a powerful in-flight experience, and an efficient arrival, we are proposing a seamless customer experience that hones in on the mobile boarding check-in process that will halve the time it takes to get from the arrival to the airport onto the plane. And then once you're on the plane, welcome to virtual reality, where no longer are you fiddling with a small screen in front of you, but instead you have in-flight entertainment that is surrounding. You have the potential to have an Emirate marketplace, and then a work portal that will enable you to feel like you almost didn't really leave the office. Finally, once you arrive at your destination, you can pick up your in-flight purchases at a storefront Emirate marketplace, and your transport is coordinated because it's all connected via the Internet of Things. The seamless customer experience will revolutionize the way we view business travel today, change business travel, and today our proposal is making Emirates the first one to enter that market. Now my colleague Chris will tell you how to pay for it.
So at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're generating value for the business. Now, the clicker will work. We did our financial analysis out 10 years using a discount rate of 12%. And what we found is that implementation cost, as well as ongoing operating costs, are going to be about 14 billion AED, which equates to about 4 billion United States dollars. Now, that might seem like a large number, but we also see that our 10-year projected revenue is about $58 billion. Now, this leads us to a break-even point at year 3, as well as an estimated internal rate of return of about 68%. But the most important number here is the MPV, which we project to be 44 billion AED, which again is about 12 billion in US dollars. Now, how does the timeline work out? Well, we made sure to split the timeline into technology and expansion, 2 very important subjects. Now, in years 1 and 2, we want to make sure that we're really focusing in on both the research and development pieces, as well as testing our products in specific soft launch areas, which are Japan and China. Now, going further after that, we want to expand this technology into our new 3 cities that we're going into, as well as around the globe. Now, with every bold plan, there's obviously going to be risks involved. The 2 main risks we saw were lower cost competitors, as well as the upfront costs that we incur. Now, in terms of lower cost competitors, we believe our product is differentiated because we are targeting the specific business segment, as well as we are making sure this technology is revolutionary and new in our field. In terms of the upfront cost, that's one of the big things in the airline industry, but we have guaranteed government financing, and the expansion potential is very great in these areas. Now I'm going to hand it off to Rose to conclude.
Thank you, Chris. So we just threw a bunch of information at you, so let's just go back through and take a look. First of all, we decided that new routes, new markets into China, Morocco, and Peru. Following along with that, we want to change the game. What is the name of the game? Productivity, all the way from departure, in-flight, to arrival, creating that seamless customer experience. And finally, all of this will lead to an incredibly positive impact on Emirates. Additional market share, forcing Emirates to stay innovative and ahead of the game, and also maintaining brand excellence. This plan is also scalable, able to reach a wide brand of consumers all the way from the economy class to business class and maybe even first class. Once again, thank you so much for having us today. My name is Rose, and we will see you on the next flight.
So I have a quick question. In terms of the partnerships that you've spoken about, you wanted to partner with individual companies. It's been my experience that a lot of the companies expanding into these markets, especially the smaller ones like Lima, Marrakesh, are small operations. They're not setting up large operations. The number of employees is limited. Do you think that this is going to provide enough of a target market for you to be able to expand that premium service into those markets?
Absolutely. To clarify your question, you're referring to the local partnerships with the code-sharing, the airlines.
Oh, you said you were going to be partnering with companies.
Yes.
And HSBC is an example.
Sure. So these are the top 3 companies that we decided would be most beneficial for Emirates to partner with. These companies are actually really big. I'm sure everyone's very familiar with all of them. We decided to choose companies from a very wide range of services, from international banking to technology to consulting. But as you can see, these companies are already implemented into the countries that we chose. And that's something that we made sure that they had. So HSBC has headquarters or has an office in Lima already. Accenture is looking to expand into Morocco, and Bain also frequently sends their employees to China. So all 3 of these, they are all very well-founded companies, and they're big. And so we think that it would be very smart for Emirates to partner with them.
Great, thank you.
So when I was looking at your implementation costs, I'm interested in the assumptions you made around route loading, and also I think I saw a 5-year implementation, but a 3-year payback, and I'm interested in how that got paid.
Yeah, so can you first click on the Marrakesh model for me?
Yeah.
So what we did first is we made sure that we went through and we looked at the individual cities that we wanted to go in. What we did there is we projected revenues based on 3 different models to determine what the ticket price would be per flight. From there, we determined how many flights there were going to be per year, and we assumed a 70% capacity per flight. That was a lower estimate that we used. After that, we determined operating costs based on each individual flight, as well as the technology costs we would be implementing and any other overhead. What I want to make clear is that the costs that we use in these models only directly related to the individual cities that we were going to, and not directly related to the company that could not be attributable to this project. So that accounts for one of the reasons why the revenue was higher than the profit, or the profit margin on our project is higher than the company's overall profit margin. But after this, we then, can you just switch to the next slide? We then consolidated this into an 8-year plan based on all of our all of the cities, as well as the overhead for the entire project as a whole, and we got our MPV down here. Does that answer your question, or can I go into specifics? Thank you.
I would like you to go back to your decision matrix about what cities you're going to, or areas that you're going to expand to. And I'd like to know more of your thinking behind each of the 4 categories: cultural, administrative, geographic, and economic. It was pretty quick in the presentation, and I kind of missed some of the key variables behind each one.
Completely. If I may actually, Rose, would you mind going to the breakdown? Yeah, I'm sorry. So in the interest of time, we have to go through things fairly quickly, but I completely understand. When we did the cage analysis, cultural is Hofstede's dimensions. That's kind of what we pulled from. But in terms of administrative, geographical, and economic, these were things that we saw as most important. I also didn't touch upon this in the weighted cage matrix, but we put economic as 40%, and then the rest of them at 20%. The reason being that Emirates, at the end of the day, is a company. It's a business. We want you guys to make money. That's the most important thing. We do want to take these other things into account. But yes, to answer your question, some of the biggest things we looked at in economic was projected growth of upper and middle class, as well as population growth and FDI, foreign direct investment. That's kind of the new markets. That's where we want Emirates to be. You guys are a really great company at kind of forecasting certain things and taking advantage of business opportunities. So FDI was definitely big. Geographical, every city we chose has an airport already. We don't have to spend costs making an airport. They already have existing airports. administrative governments. We realize that China and Peru, for lack of a better word, can be a little bit hesitant to work with foreign companies, but as we mentioned in our presentation, we kind of went a business route as well. You know, Emirates is not this huge foreign monster. We're more of a local partner that is working with companies that are already here. So this is the case breakdown. Do you have any more questions? Or?
You mentioned, or you had a whole slide talking about a deadweight loss to society of $4.2 billion. Was that factored into your economic analysis here?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of the $4.2 billion, it's a study that was done to demonstrate what the lost productivity to society is based on flight time overall in the entire world. So $4.2 billion annually. Now when we're doing our economic analysis, what we did is projected the revenue for the flight times itself, as Chris has gone over, for our expansion strategy, as well as the technology. And what we've done is factored that into the way we viewed the market potential. So the market potential, because we're incentivized, because we're creating productivity out of nothing, starting from the ground up, we factored it into how much market we could actually capture, looking at a bigger size, wanting Emirates to be the go-to for these big global companies that are traveling on business class and need to be productive that entire time.
The 4.2 though is an aggregate number, right? I'm an individual. When I travel, I really don't care about any of that loss. I care about whether or not my seat's comfortable and my plane's on time. Why would, go ahead.
Okay. So if you pull up, where's the business travel segment? Market segment business travel. Right. So here's what we've seen in the business class trend. The individual preferences are taken into account heavily, so are the corporate. These are the really important ones because the company is the one paying for the flight. So we've seen in business travel overall steady growth, the profitability to Emirates as the airline, and loyalty. But the trends in business travel itself are divided into two. We've got service seekers and then what we call stereotypical suits. So the service seekers are looking for that unique comfort and distinctive experience, which we offer in-suite virtual reality to enable your productivity or to hone in-flight entertainment. Emirates already does the luxury segment exceptionally well. We want to take it to the next level. With regard to the stereotypical suits, they want convenience. So we're offering from the moment you step into the airport to the moment you reach your hotel a streamlined process that's easy, intuitive, and simple for these consumers.
I have a question in terms of the flights. You projected using 5,000 or 6,000 more flights in order to accomplish your strategy. What planes are you going to use? Where are you going to get those, or are you involved in more capital expenditures on the part of the airline?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So for the data side of that, actually from Dubai to Auckland right now, there are Boeing 777-200 LRs that we're going to transfer over to our Lima route because that's the one that fits there. Now, Dubai to Auckland, they actually just transferred over to the A380, so those are open right now. As for the other two routes, we were expecting for the first 2 years to use smaller planes, so the Boeing 777-300 as well as the Boeing 777-300 ER. Excuse me, those will be transitioned from pre-existing routes that have an excess capacity and want to switch over to the A380 in more recent years. Now, right now we have about 216 planes in operation, and we're expecting more than 100 more in the next few years to follow, or in the next 5 years to follow. So that's how it will be transitioned. We're going to use smaller planes for now and then switch over to the A380s in years 3+ as long as we see that demand side.
So the capital expenditure, we are still looking at a significant increase in capital expenditures on new planes then?
Yes.
Did you take a look at the gate availability at the airports?
Yes. So actually, one of the things we factored into, one, the overall cost, and two, the airports is there availability, and two, if there is availability, can we transition that into the A380 availability in the future if we want to and retrofit those airports. So those were taken into account in all three of our airport assumptions, as well as we left a $50 million cash side pool for cash in case we wanted to retrofit those airports for the A380 moving forward.
So additionally, qualitatively, we looked at airport congestion, and what we've seen is over the short run, it increases airline profitability. Over the long run, however, congestion is providing problems that you and I experience as consumers every day. One of the big fits for this has been slot trading. So we encourage Emirates to look at slot trading as the ability to sort of have a marketplace for the real estate at an airline. But what we understand from another big trend is that the point-to-point route increase is essentially direct flights, and that really is a sort of marker for the mega hub system that we have going in Dubai.
Of the 3 locations that you decided that we should expand to, tell us which one you should be most concerned about from a risk standpoint, and what is that risk?
Absolutely. Already talked about the 3 districts.
Yeah, so to answer your question, once again, returning back to the matrix, China definitely ranked highly in terms of economics, being such a huge, I mean, they're growing rapidly. They're growing larger than any other country in terms of economics. But China also has things like cultural and administrative kind of hesitancies that we also had to factor in when deciding these things. But I would say, honestly, China for Emirates is one of the stronger options.